Diggs Nation.
Tonight, we're talking about Money Matters on Peanut Butter Magic. Stay tuned.
It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show. It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show.
Welcome, everybody, to Peanut Butter Magic, the show where we talk about all things indie and stuff like that. I'm your host tonight. My name is Diggs, and I am here with my right-hand man, my cohort, Boss 10. Give it up for him, Boss 10. How you doing tonight, man?
What's up, man?
Everything good?
Oh, always good.
All right, let's talk about your weekend. How'd it go?
Oh, man. You know, my dad turned 70 this week.
Wow.
He's 70 years old.
Wow.
Still won't retire.
Right.
Stop going to work, man. Just chill. Have a good time. Put in a car lift in his garage. He said, I'm 70. I'm tired of crawling under cars. I said, you're 70. Stop working on cars.
Right.
Just drive them and relax.
How many cars does he have?
Not too many, actually.
Yeah.
He's just a tinkerer. He just likes to work.
Yeah, you really got to be a tinkerer to put a car lift in your garage.
Oh yeah. He's got a car that his brake line rusted out, and he got the replacement, and the brake line somehow goes between the frame and the body. So he was like, I got to lift the body off the frame so that I can put the new brake line down. So I think this is a perfect time to get a car lift.
Wow. And of course, you helped him put it in.
Oh yeah. We did something really good.
But nothing exciting like that happened for me.
What'd you do this weekend?
Man, you know, daddy shit. Just kind of doing that. We did a fish fry. What was it, Sunday?
Okay.
Fried a bunch of fish and just kind of made that happen. Saturday, I worked pretty much all weekend. I had a lot of work ahead of me. So I just kind of made that happen, man. You know.
I listened to that song you sent me, man. Is that the demo you were talking about?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. They're trying to work me to death with that record now, man. I sent the track, you know, like so I sent the track for them to record, and the deal was that I mixed the record. Okay, so when they sent the vocal tracks back to me, it was empty in a lot of places. So I was like, okay, let me try to fill in some gaps here. And that's kind of what I did. So now I sent that version of it back to her. Now she wants to redo the whole record, and now she's asking me for stems. And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't know it was going to turn into a production.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I was busy with that, let's just say.
Hey, man, it's got a good sound.
Yeah, not bad.
Like it's got like a classic, like R&B with some hip hop thrown in kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like I dig it, man. I like it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Very good. Well, I guess I'll find out this weekend. She's gonna recut the vocals, so she's been inspired to do something different too. So I'll, you know, big shout out to Ange. Big shout out, Ange, New Rochelle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of Ange, we're going to talk about money matters tonight and why money matters or don't matter in this day and time being an indie creator. All right? And I've written down some points that I want to go through that I feel like are very important in the way that I do things. And maybe some people can relate, maybe they're not. We can discuss and stuff like that. The game has changed a lot since I first came into it. I got started around 1989. So back in those days,
a couple years ago.
Yeah, not bad. You know what I mean? You know, maybe a generation and a half or so. You know what I'm saying? Give or take.
Yeah. Sophomore status now.
Right. But the game was very different. It was designed very different back then. You, first of all, like finding a recording studio was like, you know, next to impossible to do. And then once you found one, it was expensive to get in. You know what I mean? And then you wanted to make the most of the time that you spent and producing your craft and stuff like that. So money meant a lot back in those times because like equipment was very expensive. It was very bulky. A lot of it was analog. Good majority of it was analog back then, and you did a lot of stuff sampling. You had to like splice tape to get sample loops, and you know the game was very different with technology and stuff like that. Has made it more accessible for people to just make music from their bedroom, and the equipment has become a lot more inexpensive, or a lot less expensive. Let me say it like that. Yeah. Than it did from back in the day. So with the internet, it's making a lot of us indies even more independent and in charge of our own destiny. So I want to ask you, Brandon, how much do you think that money matters in being an indie creator in the year 2021?
Oh, I mean, you can't do it without.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just from an indie standpoint. I mean, the first time that I heard of an indie artist, it was Mac Miller.
Yeah.
I was in college, and I had a couple friends that were really big into him. And one of my friends like played some of his songs, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. This is cool. I like this. Who is this guy?" He told me who Mac Miller, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked him up, and he was an indie artist. He made all this stuff like he was in high school, making hip hop records, you know, at his house or a friend's house or whatever. He had music videos online. He had like 1 million followers on social media.
Right.
Like there was no label backing him up. And I think he ended up signing to a label at some point.
Yeah.
But his career started out of his backpack. And he had to pay for all of that.
Yeah.
You know? And if it's your boy that's putting the beat together and your homeboy that's making the music video or whatever, you know, you can save some money that way, but you still got to front the cash. You can't do it for nothing. And he invested in himself, and he became Mac Miller, a household name. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. You know what I mean?
You know? So yeah, I mean, it's very important. If no one's signing a check for you, you're not doing it unless you're signing your own.
Bingo. Which brings me to my first talking point. When we think about creatives, or being creatives, we have to think what I think of it in terms of it's a business and not a job. You know what I mean? And there is a difference. The job is somewhere where you go and you clock in and you expect the check after you do your work. A business is more so something that you have to invest in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a job is something, like you said, where you show up at a certain time and they pay you to do all the work. You know, there's somebody else that's running that business and has said, hey, I think you can do this job for you, so we're going to pay you and you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do. And then, you know, you can quit if you don't like it, or, you know, if you do a good job and you bring in more business, then we'll hire somebody just like you and they'll work, you know, and we'll pay them as well. But also, like you said, with a business, I mean, if you're running that business, it's up to you to make that money.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not the greatest employee in the world. There's been many times. There's been many times that I have shown up for work and I've done, you know, everything that I'm supposed to do. And when I should probably be off looking for other things to do, I've got my phone out. I'm playing a game. I'm, you know, texting somebody or writing a script or, you know, doing something that I'm not on the clock for. But I'm still getting paid.
Right.
I'm still on the clock.
Yeah.
You know. But if I'm running a business and it's up to me to sell whatever it is that the business is purposed for, if I'm sitting over here on the couch playing with my phone, texting people, working on scripts, there's no money coming in.
Right. Right.
You know?
Like over the weekend, I did a tally of all the equipment or things associated with my studio. The amount that I have spent in equipment costs and stuff like that. Like, I'm almost embarrassed to admit how much money I've spent in the last 7 years on studio equipment. It's astronomical. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Let's just say
That's part of it, though.
Yeah, it's part of it. You realize that as you grow. Like, as a matter of fact, this morning I went to my barber. My barber is trying to start his own studio, so he called me up on Sunday and was like, "Yo, you and I've been talking. I've been telling you I'm doing a studio. Why don't you come over and help me figure this out?" So I go over there this morning, and we're in there talking. And he was like, you have a lot of stuff in your studio. He was like, what did you spend? And I was like, man, I'm not going to tell you what I've spent, but you don't have to spend the way that I do. But when you do spend, make sure that you get it right the first time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm not saying go out and buy $1 million piece of equipment. But if you have to have a piece of equipment, make sure it's don't skimp on cost. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna pay. Even with peanut butter magic, man, skimping on cost, we blew some money. You know what I mean? Just in the little bit of money that we spent in putting this together, it was still some wasted money in some areas just because trying to cut cost. And then you wind up paying more because you're being cheap. Yeah. So don't skimp. And I was telling him, like, if you're going to buy the software is expensive. Okay. But if you're going to buy software, get the pro version. Go ahead and spend the money, get the pro version in that way, because you're going to outgrow it. You're going to outgrow all the simple stuff.
Yeah.
So go ahead and invest. You have to approach it as a business and not a job.
That's right.
You do. Like, for example, you and I, we've been doing Peanut Butter Magic since about March now, and we've shown up weekly to put this thing together. And I think we're at a point now to where we're disciplined enough to where we know on Tuesdays we're going to get together and do this thing.
Oh, yeah.
But it takes that repetition to keep things going, to get that structure going, to where it becomes second nature, to where if you don't do it, you're missing it. Right. You know what I mean? Why, something don't feel right tonight because I'm not doing but we approach it, it's a lot of fun. But we approach it in business fashion.
Right.
Same with putting into your indie career. You have to approach it like, this is my business, and it's only going to be as successful as I make it.
Yep.
So
I can give you a very good example of that.
Sure.
So I bought this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Zoom HN-N4.
Right.
I used one just like this, probably 2012-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the H4, not the N. And I used it. And we hooked up a shotgun microphone to the bottom. It's an audio recorder. It's got these little XLR inputs on it. I had never used an audio recorder before on set.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked on a set. A guy had one of these. We didn't have to hook the microphone up to the camera, so we could get better audio because we weren't limited to the distance of where the actor was related to the camera. So I saw this, and I used it, and I didn't do enough research, but I found out there was a new one that had just hit the market. So I was like, I'd never want to do a production again without having an audio recorder. So I went and bought this. This is great. It's wonderful piece of equipment. I've been on many sets where people use them as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's very useful. The problem, though, is that it only has 2 inputs on the bottom.
Right.
So my scripts have evolved from having 1 actor to 2 actors to 4 actors at a time. So now I can either have 1 microphone that I'm pointing in the direction of whoever's talking, and I have to hope that the audio person is paying attention and not texting. Or I could buy 4-channel recorder, which I ended up buying. And so now I've got all the lav mics, and they're all wireless, and actors can walk around the set and we can pick it all up. But I used a piece of equipment and I thought, this is the end all be all. I'm going to spend the money and I'm going to buy this. My 4-channel recorder that I used was exactly $100 more than that.
Right.
Now this thing worked,
Yeah.
and it got me through what I needed it to get through. But had I just dropped another $100, had I spent another hour researching recorders, I would have never even bought that. It was a wonderful introduction to audio recording, but it was immediately a paperweight after my first production with it. And I had to use it for a couple years, and it worked fine. It did everything it's supposed to do, but I really needed a lot more. And if I would have, like I said, if I would have just spent a little bit more money, all my audio problems that I've had the last couple of years, those would have all been gone.
So often it happens.
All the time.
You know what I mean? And that's why I bought my board, man. Because although I have yet to use 32 channels on it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but I bought it just in case I ever had a need for. I didn't want to need 32 channels and not have them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, yep. So I was like, okay, at some point I'm going to make that happen. So
you don't want a 4 drum set band show up and you only be able to mic 2 of them.
Right. Which I've already figured out the answer to that problem too.
Oh,
I'm just gonna get some electric drums.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
more
make
money.
Right.
The investments never end.
It never ends. I'm trying to get it there, man. I know of about 4 more key pieces that I want to complete what my mission.
Yeah, but once you get those 4 pieces, you're gonna have 4 more.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have, I just need this one more thing.
Yep.
And then, Sure's gonna come out with an SM8B, and
Right.
now we're all gonna want that one. It's a never-ending game.
Yep.
When you go to the studio, like as an artist, and you pay your little fee or whatever to record your song, I don't think that most artists really understand the amount of money that they're standing in while they're recording.
Yeah.
The people that had, like you, that have these studios on their personal property that isn't, you don't work at Swayfield Sound Lab. You have it, you are it, you own it. Any artist that comes through there, whether it's your studio or Sony's studio or whoever's studio down the road, these people have invested hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into their equipment because that's their passion. That's what they love. And that's why they're the ones running studio time. That's why you are paying them to go in and get that session recorded. Because they made the investment. And now they're making money on every single person that walks through that door.
Absolutely. It's got to pay. It's got to pay. Fortunately, the only things that haven't paid for themselves are the couple of purchases I've made here recently. But pretty much everything else has all been, I've paid for nothing. Let's say that. You know what I mean? I may have fronted the cost or had the cost fronted to me, but it's done more than made its fair share of the money back. Let's just say that. So it's worth the investment. You know what I mean? To be able to cut it at home. Because I record people, quite often. And the money that they spend having me push my buttons on my stuff, they could easily take that same bread and go out and buy them a small setup and just have me mix the joint.
Right.
After they record it. It would save them a ton of money and they could replicate the music over and over and over and over and over again. It wouldn't be a cost to record it all the time, But a lot of people don't have the patience to want to sit there and work the controls. So they pay someone else to work the controls for them. So if you're not a button pusher, money matters.
Yes.
And even if it's your buddy, out of courtesy, you should at least offer to pay him something.
Yes.
'Cause that ain't cool. He had to pay. So, or offer to at least exchange a good or a service or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I
You
mean?
do this
Work
for
out
me,
something.
I'll do this for you.
Yeah, work
You know?
work it out. Work
Help
work
each
it
other
out.
out.
Make it worth each other's while.
Yeah.
All right. Second point I want to make is competition.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? Because there's a ton of it.
Yeah.
And we've touched on this, a few times on how there's a lot of indie artists that's out there that's just getting up in the morning and grinding the moment they brush their teeth. You know what I mean? So they're going to the labels already established in their area, and they spent a ton of money. You may have a better record than they do, but they're polished.
Right.
And they look the part. They sound the part. You know what I mean? The label doesn't have to put as much into an artist that has invested in themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you come with just talent. You might not. But
Right.
you got a better shot of being able to present something when you go and meet with these potential investors.
Because these record labels that essentially are investors,
Mm-hmm.
like if you just show up with a song but you dress like me, they're not gonna sign you.
No.
Because great, you've got a song that they can sell, but they now have to completely restructure you and make you sellable. Nobody wants to get on Instagram and see pictures of me with a moon landing shirt on. Nobody cares about that. But if you got a fly outfit on, your hair's done, you actually trimmed your beard up or got rid of it altogether, you look presentable,
right?
You don't have bad posture, you stand up straight, like you're sellable. People can take pictures of you anywhere and not be shameful of what they're putting on their website.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So the label is not going to invest that anymore.
No.
There's no reason to.
No. They look at it as that's too much work. There was a time to where labels had to do all of that. The Motown era, where Berry Gordy, he pretty much, his label was more like General Motors, where he was manufacturing pop bands all over the place and doing that. So he had in Motown the artist development department, to where he was putting together the Supremes and the Temptations and the Jackson Fives and the Rick James and everybody that came through that Motown. He had a certain appeal that he was going for his acts.
Right.
But that was then. And even in my time, they had artist development. You could get an artist development deal without necessarily getting a record deal. And that's kind of like NBA. The NBA right now has a league called the G League, where it's like the league between college and the pros.
Okay.
Or you can skip. It's like the minor leagues. Let's say that. It's more like the minors. Or you can skip college altogether and go to the G League, where they pay you, I think the salary is like $125,000 a year. And you can get an opportunity to sign a two-way deal to where you can play part-time in the actual NBA and the other time in the G League and go back and forth. They're working all of this out with the whole kids not getting paid off their name and likeness for college sports. All these things have come into play now, as far as that's concerned. So, but you got to be competitive,
right?
To make that bread and whatnot. And these kids are out there finding different ways, getting competitive with these people to make the money. We as creators, we have to compete with the next guy that's gonna outwork you. You know what I mean?
Because there's 100 of you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
and some
you're not
people
the only one in town.
Yep. And some people have sold 1 million records before they even go to the label.
Oh yeah,
they have a couple million.
Yep,
couple million. So competition, leverage. Let's talk about leverage.
Tell me about it.
All right.
What does Webster think about leverage?
Leverage is having that edge to where you can pretty much write your own check. You know what I mean? And if you have money matters, If you have money going to the label, you don't have to accept the bullshit.
Right.
Because you can walk away if necessary. It will help you land the deal closest to what you want, rather than the desperation deal, to where you take the 360 and they're getting paid off of everything that you do.
Because I would imagine if you're an artist, no matter what field you're in, if you've got enough deals coming your way, you can pick and choose.
Oh yeah,
right? Because at that point, it's not just some studio that's like, all right, I'll throw you some money and I'll make a bunch off of it. You've got like 5 or 6 studios coming in going, hey, we want your product. And you can go, well, this is what I want, right? And if they're like, well, we don't want that, then you go, all right, cool. And you just go to the next one.
Yep.
This can be yours.
Yep.
This is what I want.
We called that shopping the deal back in my day. You know what I mean? You get a deal and then you take it to another label or a studio or something along those lines, and you say, okay, X Productions has offered me $250,000 to sign with them for 2 albums. Can you match that or better that? And they say, well, we can give you $275 for 2.5 years. Then you go over here to label D. And be like, all right, I got 2 deals on the table already.
Right.
Before I even came here, I got 2 deals already. Can you match both of these deals combined? And they be like, well, I tell you, I can give you $500,000 for 2.5 years. So now you got label H, and you have 3 deals on the table, plus you're holding a couple million in your pocket.
Right.
Too. Yeah, you know I mean, so you can tell them all to go fuck themselves. You know what I mean? Money matters.
Oh, of course.
Whereas you're the upcoming artist, the starving artist, and they offer you not even the 360, but the 720 deal. They spin your ass all the way around twice.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you like, okay, where do I sign? Where do I sign? My baby got to eat.
Well, that's where the importance of your other points come into play. Like, if you didn't invest in yourself, if you didn't put forth the work, if you didn't figure out what other people were doing and find a way to separate yourself and stand on top, then you have no leverage whatsoever. You're just, dust in the wind. Who cares? See you next time. But if you come in there and you figured out how to record your music and make it sound professional, right? You figured out how to have that image like we talked about last week where you look the part and then you walk in the door and you act the part. You're not somebody that they have to figure out what to do with.
Right.
They see you as a real investment opportunity because you're already making money without them.
Yep.
They're just going to push you up the notch a little bit.
Yep.
It's very important. Very, very, very important.
Absolutely. And it can be the key into whether you're successful financially or not.
Right.
And it's best that you make a good portion of your money while you don't have a boss, for lack of better words. It's best that you go ahead and get it while the getting is good as an ending.
Right.
My 4th point, marketing and promotions. Money matters.
Because that doesn't exist without money. Hey, man, I want to market my album. How much money you got? None.
Right.
No marketing, buddy.
It matters. If you guys really think that people are just going viral by putting a video up on TikTok or something like that, you are out of your minds. You know what I mean?
Explain.
Nobody gets something for nothing. And I don't give a damn how good your video is. If you don't put some sort of push behind it, it's probably not going to go too far.
Yeah.
Now, once you build up that audience from the push, then you can put the videos out there and they'll run themselves. But as an indie coming out of the gate, I believe that it's very important that you put some finances behind your push. You know, that's really the best way for people to find you.
Right.
You know, and marketing online doesn't have to be very costly, but it's not cheap either.
You just need a plan going into it.
Absolutely.
I agree with what you're saying too about going viral. Like I feel like there's this misconception that if you just go viral, then it's over. Like, or not over, but that's just the beginning of how wonderful everything's going to be after. And some videos do naturally just go viral.
Right.
You know, over time, enough people watch it that they start pushing it on the services. But I mean, I completely agree with that. If you're just relying on something to, oh, this is great, it'll go viral, and you just put it out there and wait for that to happen, just go do something else.
Right. Please.
Please.
You gotta be able to put a push behind what you got going on. And the main reason why we're even talking about this stuff is because I work with so many artists, man, that they got this Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz mentality about the game. Like, they've watched too many 5 Heartbeat movies and shit to where they think you just show up at a studio and start singing and a motherfucker be like, holy shit. I've never heard anything like that before in my life. Be like, no, it does not. When I got started, it did. Like, I did grow up in an era to where if a motherfucker heard you sing, they was like, holy shit. But these days, not so much.
So what you're saying is, anytime you get a meeting with an executive, wear sparkly red shoes.
Right. And bring a dog. Because you need to click them motherfuckers together, Jack.
That's how Justin Bieber was found.
You know?
Sparkling shoes, man.
You know, now there are rare exceptions. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is not absolute, but the exceptions are very rare. They are very. There's needle in the haystack exception.
Yeah,
but
you can't rely on that though.
No.
Just because that happened to an artist or an individual that you're aware of, it doesn't mean it's just going to happen to you. It probably won't. It probably won't happen to anyone else but that one person you can think of.
Yeah. And even with putting a push behind your product, it doesn't guarantee success either. It's the risk you take.
Right.
Like I have a friend of mine, she's an event planner, a promoter, and things of that nature. And we talked last week. And then she said to me, she was like, I'm putting together a fashion show and I need a sponsor. And I was like, all right, when is the fashion show? And she was like, it's on the 23rd of October. So I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And I was like, are you looking for a sponsor now? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but you may have your work cut out for it. You know, and trying to find something to put a package to put together for them. You have to figure out what you're going to sell them, what they're going to buy for you for the money that you're asking for, and stuff like that. And she was like, I'll work all of that out. I'm like, okay, cool. So fast forward to about 3 or 4 hours ago, she sends me a text and she was like, I got the sponsorship. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. So she was like, the only thing I got to pay now is the DJ and something else. It was another bill that she had to pay. And then she was like, the rest of it's all profit. But she got out there and she sold herself. Now, I don't know the details of what the sponsorship package entails, if there even is any. But it was all about the marketing to put her in a position to sell herself to get that sponsorship and whatnot. So, you know, be about it.
Right. That's awesome, though. I'm glad she got that.
Yeah, so am I. So am I. But she started with her own money. She had money of her own. So I gave, again, go back up one, leverage. Gave her leverage to go in and negotiate. And I'll find out the details and I'll let y'all know if I find out as to what she sold. We'll try to each one teach one around here as often as we can too.
Of course, yeah.
And do that. But
But every successful business is, the only reason it's successful is because they started it on their own.
Yeah.
Because they had an idea and they followed through with it. And a large part of that was that they invested the money that they needed to invest in order to get it started.
Yep.
And you prove yourself that way because you put yourself on the map. People recognize that.
Yeah. I go back to a conversation that you and I had many years ago. And we were talking about launching something. I don't know if it was an album or what project we were doing at the time.
That doesn't sound like us.
Right. But we had a project that we were talking about. And you said to me, sure, we just go out and get a business loan and like you made it sound so easy. I was just like, where they do that at?
Isn't that how it works? You just go down to the bank and go, I got a great idea. And I'm going to need about $50,000. And we can set up a payment plan. That's fine. Where do I sign? Let's get this going.
I was like, I was blown away at how nonchalant your tone was and shit.
Fake it till you make it, man.
But I listened. I did. I heard you out. I was like, maybe he knows something that I don't. Let me hear what he got to say. But yeah, you did. You was like, we just got to get a business loan and everything. We just work it out.
Yeah. No, I remember I went to. I've got a business account with a bank in Tennessee, and I just got out of college, and I went into the bank and I started my business account, and got me a little license, and I did just that. It's like, I'll get a business loan and I'll be able to do this, and it'll be great. Man, my business account had like $75.
Right.
My credit score doesn't even make those check your credit commercials. You know what I mean? Like, are you looking for one of these? That was me. All right. That bank could have laughed me out the door. Like, here's a little sucker. Just go back home. It was almost embarrassing, my lack of knowledge for how any of that works.
Got me choked up over here, boy. So what happened?
I still got the account.
It's got more than 75 in it?
Oh, no, less.
Don't feel bad.
Oh, yeah, no. It's all good.
So what happened? Did you get the loan?
No, of course not. No, not a chance. I wasn't even close.
Did you learn anything?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's like being a painter and going and getting a business loan so that you can buy a bunch of paint and buy your first piece of canvas. And then the first thing that any sane person would say when asking them to borrow money for that is, well, let me see some of your paintings. Let me see what all you got going on here. What's your plan with the painting? What are you going to do with it when it's all done? Well, I don't have any paintings. I don't have any art whatsoever. And I just figured museums would want to put them in there. The bank's going to say no.
No.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the equipment that I have, man, for collateral, I'm still scared to go and try to get a business loan.
Yeah. I'm
still afraid, Yeah. So but I'm learning. I will say I'm learning about business credit. I've really been putting the time in to find out about how to obtain business credit. And I even sent you a cheat sheet. Did you get it?
A cheat sheet?
Yeah, I sent you a cheat sheet. I sent it in a text on the steps.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I've been following those steps. Like started at 1, I'm up to like maybe 25 or something now.
Oh, nice.
But they work if you follow them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, and you don't have to do them all fast. You can do them at your own pace, but they all pan out. They do. They pan out. So you can easily teach yourself how to become a businessman just by your curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
As far as that's concerned, with that cheat sheet, you know, maybe we'll find a way to post that link too and get you one of them cheat sheets if you're interested in building a business like that, or just having a blueprint to how to put together your business and obtain some business credit and stuff like that. But yeah, you got to put some money into your market. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. You got to put some money in. What I was going to say is that one thing that I struggle with, and I would just assume that everybody does, is that discouragement level. You know, when you buy that piece of equipment and you go, this is going to fix everything, it's going to be great. And then you show up and it doesn't, and it spits in your face. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that you screwed up big time. It's not over. You know what I mean? Like, you just made a bad investment. And everybody makes bad investments. Oh, yeah. Not just you, not just me. Everybody does. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that anybody that's listening and thinks, yeah, okay, invest. I get it. I'm going to go out and invest. And when you don't get a return right away, don't walk away. Right. You know, just learn why. Why didn't I make that investment? Yep. Or why didn't I get the return that I hoped for? You know what I mean? And just stick with it. Yeah, I agree. It takes time. Anything worth having takes time. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? You got to develop it and own your craft. You have to do that. And once you do that, you got to put it out for the world to see. And I just go back to Student of the Game, that whole project. We had a budget already set before the album was even done. So I already had a plan and direction on how I wanted things to go, even before the investor got here. So again, once the investor got here, leverage. Right. Leverage, you know, because by the time they came, they needed what we had more than what we needed what they had. So it gave us leverage, you know. So bottom line, money matters, man. You know, and I'm not saying you got to be a millionaire. It all depends on how far you want to take it. If you want to stick to your bedroom, you can make records or films or be creative and for very little money for equipment. You don't have to go out and spend $50,000 like somebody that I may or may not know. You don't have to do that. But if you got 40's cool. I mean, that's
but you know, a good $300 can get you in a good place. Yeah, you know what I mean? To at least
somewhere.
Yeah, at least get yourself to where you can get some ideas put down. You know. Yep. So, but you're gonna need at least 300. At least that. Yeah. So don't be getting upset when people don't want to fool with you because you think your raps are the greatest in the world and the people that have access to get your raps out there don't give a shit what you think. You know, put yourself in a position more so to where you don't care about what they think. Their opinion doesn't matter. And you can save yourself a whole lot of heartache by spending some money on yourself. It all boils down to that. It all comes back to you're gonna need some bread to pull some things off. You are. And as long as I've been an engineer or a producer or the owner of a studio, you always get those people that don't want to spend anything and then they want you to treat their project like you love it just as much as they do. There's even no motivation to fake it. So just know, money matters. Any final words, boss?
Will Smith had a quote that I'm gonna mess up, but I'm gonna paraphrase. But it was basically something like, if you're trying to make it, spend all of your money on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be out buying a bunch of dumb shit that has nothing to do with whatever it is you're trying to make it in.
Right.
And I mean, he's right. You know?
Right.
Like, there's a new PS5 out right now. I'd love to go buy one,
Mm-hmm.
but I could also use a lens.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That PS5 is going to give me a lot of hours of fun gameplay, but that lens might make me a lot of money.
Yep.
You know?
But see, a piece of gear is my PS5.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the way I feel. If I can get me a new drum machine as opposed to a PS5, I'm gonna go for that drum machine.
That's what he's saying.
You know what I mean?
That's it. You listened. Thank you, Will. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I got.
Money, money, money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know. But just know that money matters. And again, I'm not saying that you have to go out and break yourself over buying or spending or whatever the case. But if you're looking to win, it's gonna cost you something. And it's best to pay with money than to pay with your ass.
Unless you're working on the street, then
Right. Right. 'Cause them ass checks, they sometimes don't stop.
take a while to clean too. Did I take that one too far?
For fucking with us tonight, man. Cool.
Money.
Tune in next time, man. Boss is gonna bring us the topic next week. You know, for Boss 10, this is Swalo and Peanut Butter Magic.
It's the peanut butter